All right, let's dive into a story about a secret that literally changed the world. We're talking about a weapon so powerful it could wipe a city off the map in a single flash. This is the incredible and terrifying story of the first atomic bombs.
So the big question is, how on earth do we create something this destructive? I mean, it sounds like something out of science fiction, right? But it wasn't magic. It was a desperate race against time, a mix of incredible science, the pressures of war, and some of the most tightly kept secrets you can imagine.
Okay, so picture this. It's the middle of World War II. While battles are raging all over the globe, the United States is secretly funding a massive project. We're talking billions of dollars, all to create a brand new type of superweapon, something totally unheard of.
So what exactly is an atomic bomb? Well, think about an atom, the smallest building block of everything. The bomb's power comes from splitting the very center of that atom, its nucleus. When you split one, it releases a huge burst of energy. And the bomb does this to billions and billions of atoms all at once, setting off this incredible chain reaction. The result? An explosion with power that's just hard to even comprehend.
And this whole secret mission had a code name, the Manhattan Project. Get this, they built entire cities, completely off the map, out in the desert to work on this. You had thousands of brilliant people, scientists, engineers, you name it. But the crazy part is, most of them had no clue what the final product was. They were just told, your work is crucial to winning the war. That's it.
So, just how powerful are we talking?
Well, the very first time they tested one, the explosion was as powerful as 15,000 tons of regular TNT. Think about that. One single bomb could now do what it used to take thousands of bombs to do. And that one moment, everything changed. The rules of war, the balance of power, the entire world was different.
Okay, so they've built it, they've tested it, they've unlocked this incredible power. Now the project moves from being a scientific experiment to a real-world weapon. And that brings us to the final and most devastating chapter of the war.
And just look at how quickly things moved from here. The first successful test was in July of 1945. Less than 3 weeks later, the first bomb was used on the city of Hiroshima. Then, only 3 days after that, a second one hit Nagasaki. And just like that, by September, World War II, the deadliest conflict we've ever known, was over.
The first city in the crosshairs was Hiroshima. It was a really important target. It had a big military headquarters and lots of factories. So on August 6, a huge B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, flew high over the city. It was carrying a very special cargo, a single bomb with the nickname Little Boy.
But here's the thing, Japan didn't surrender after the first bomb. So 3 days later, a second mission took off. This time, the target was Nagasaki, a major port city. And this second bomb, nicknamed Fat Man, was a different beast altogether. Instead of uranium, it used a different fuel called plutonium, which made it even more powerful.
Now, to really get a sense of what these weapons did, we have to look at what it was like on the ground. And here's a crucial detail. These bombs weren't designed to explode when they hit the ground. They were set to detonate way up in the air. Why? To make that destructive blast wave spread out as far as possible, to cause the most damage. It all happened in less than a single second, but it unfolded in 3 distinct, terrifying stages. First, a flash of light so bright it was like a new sun had been born, but it was completely silent. Right after that came a wave of heat, thousands of degrees hot, that instantly incinerated everything. And then came the blast. A shock wave that moved faster than sound, just flattening everything in its path.
In the blink of an eye, the heart of the city just vanished. Buildings made of concrete and steel crumpled like they were made of paper. The ground shook so violently that people were knocked off their feet for miles around. And everyone who could still see looked up and saw the exact same horrifying image. That massive, mushroom-shaped cloud rising up into the sky.
The number of people who died in that first instant is just staggering. In Nagasaki, an estimated 40,000 people were killed immediately. In Hiroshima, it was even higher, around 70,000. And the most terrible part? That was just the beginning of the death toll.
Yeah, for anyone who managed to survive that initial blast, the nightmare was far from over. Because the bomb left something behind. Something you couldn't see. An invisible poison that would keep hurting people for years, even decades to come. That poison, it was radiation. You can think of it as countless invisible energy particles shooting through people's bodies like tiny, microscopic bullets. It just tore their cells apart from the inside, leading to terrible sickness and death long after the sound of the explosion faded. In Japan, the survivors became known as hibakusha, which means explosion-affected people, and they had to live with the fallout for the rest of their lives. Many got cancers like leukemia, they dealt with strange fevers and constant exhaustion, and one of the most tragic things is that some of these health problems were even passed on to their children, who were born years after the bombs fell. And the radiation wasn't just on the ground, it literally fell out of the sky. A weird, oily, black rain began to fall over the ruined cities. It was full of radioactive ash and dust from that mushroom cloud. And the survivors, so thirsty after the fires, they drank that water, not knowing they were poisoning themselves even more.
So, after all of that, after a city has been turned to dust and poison, how do you even begin to come back from that? Well, the last part of this story isn't just about destruction. It's about remembering and about making a promise for the future.
Just 6 days after that second bomb hit Nagasaki, something happened that had never happened before in Japan. The emperor himself spoke directly to the people over the radio to announce that Japan was surrendering. And with that, World War II was officially over.
And believe it or not, both cities were eventually rebuilt. They rose from the ashes. But they made a very important choice. They didn't try to hide the scars of what happened. They left the skeletal ruins of one building, now called the Atomic Bomb Dome, standing just as it was in the moments after the explosion. It's there today as a constant, haunting reminder for the whole world to see. And if you go to Hiroshima's Peace Memorial Park today, you'll see a flame. It's been burning nonstop since 1964. They call it the Peace Flame, and it represents a very serious promise. The flame will only be put out when the very last nuclear weapon on our planet is gone. And as you might have guessed, that flame is still burning, which leaves us all with a huge question, maybe the most important question there is. Will we, in our lifetimes, ever see the day when that flame can be put out? You see, this story, it isn't really just about the past. It's a living, breathing question about the kind of future we all want to build.